All right, we're back. One day I'll hire someone to do all this. I said that last time, and obviously it hasn't happened yet. So
It's all good.
Dude, happy to see you, Paul. Man, it's been a while.
Happy to see you too.
Yeah, great to see you again. Yeah, I see you've always been on the move with another book in the works.
Another book, yeah. I'm writing. Well, this is a book, shorts, which is a cooperation with several authors that I've been working with for a few years.
Oh, okay.
And
has this been something that you guys thought about, like when you first like collaborated together, or is this something just of recent? You were like, hey, why not work?
No, it's weird. I just had this thought at one point a few months ago where I saw a pair of really ridiculous looking shorts, and I said that would be a great book cover. And I said, oh, well, you can make a short story book. And I talked to my fellow people who, and these are authors that I work with, and we edit each other's work, and we look at it and comment, and we're pretty critical, which is very helpful. And,
was it like a network you guys start? Like, is there other authors you guys bring in and like kind of teach them under your wing in that group, or is it kind of like your own like network?
It's our own thing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You guys can't get in school club. Yeah. It's a cool club.
No, we have actually one of the authors in that group died recently, and so we do have an open spot.
Yeah, registration just opened up if you reach out on your email.
Registration is opened up.
What theme was he covering? We gotta make sure we get that same category.
Well, he was the only nonfiction writer in the group.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it's a very interesting story. Michael Ranville was a remarkable man. He spent a great deal of time working in politics. He was a speechwriter for many years. He was in the Army, in the Air Force, actually. Oh. He was in the Kennedy administration. He worked Air Force One, the communications, when Kennedy was around.
Oh, wow.
And actually, just as a side note to that, as we were exploring each other and backgrounds and stuff in these sessions that we had, talking about our books, I mentioned that I had written a book about the Kennedy assassination. He said, oh, I'd like to read that. And I said, okay. And I had also learned at that point that he was very ill. And I was a little worried that the last book that he read would be my book, and it would be like, oh, this is a real piece of crap.
Yeah. But, his last review, too, is like a 1-star on Yelp. You're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. But he read the book, and he came. We had a meeting, and he was on. He said he liked the book very much. He thought it was well written, and he said, I was around during the time.
Yeah.
He said, I knew these guys, and what you wrote could have happened.
Really?
Yeah. And it was like, whoa, because there are like 2,000 books written about the Kennedy assassination, and all of them have heavy duty research, and people who have done a lot of interviews and traveled to all these places. And I was in Dallas once, and I went to the sixth floor depository, the Texas School Book Depository. But
wait, is that where Oswald took the shot? Really? How was it? Yeah. If you don't mind, I don't want to cut you off trail or anything, but like, obviously, was it like this eerie feeling? Like, what were like these emotions and stuff when you were going there? You know what I mean? Because you've done all this research too, and then to actually be there.
Yeah.
And
it was humbling. It was very quiet,
Okay.
And the people who were there, it was like church. You had people going in and just kind of looking around, and they weren't talking, and just it was really. I mean, when you think about it, where would we be now if he hadn't taken that shot? What if Kennedy had lived? We certainly would not have been in Vietnam.
Yeah. He
was pulling people out of Vietnam. It would have changed everything. No Nixon.
Yeah. No CIA, no FBI, there'd be a lot. No, the things that Kennedy was doing, which again, it connects to like people like, oh, why was he assassinated? Well, look at the things he was doing. He was implementing, I forget the specific, I think we talked about it in the last episode, if I remember correctly. It was like 1001, whatever, but it's basically giving the United States the power to create their own currency again instead of going out of the Federal Reserve, and like just giving more power back to the country itself instead of these foreign entities.
There was a lot of talk about that. Although I'm not really an expert in that particular field, the biggest changes that I think that he was manipulating the government to undertake was to minimize the defense industry.
Oh, yeah.
Eisenhower, in his last speech, said the thing that we had to be most aware of is the military defense industry. They're in everything. They are part of they're in Congress, they're in elections. They have a great deal to say about foreign policy, and then we need to be very mindful of it. And that was a Republican, and he was a general, and he led the Allied command. He was the architect of our participation in World War II. He led the Allied forces. You'd think he would know, right? And he issued that warning in his last speech. Okay, pay attention.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yep.
And companies like Bell Helicopter and Halliburton, which was then Brown and Root, were almost bankrupt at the time. And after the Vietnam War, they were billionaires. The transformation of those companies over a period of 10, 15 years was transformational. It was crazy how much money they made.
Oh, yeah.
But at any rate.
And then when you run your whole system off of this war, how you make your money and finances, of course they're going to keep pushing this stuff. And then, look at now, Ukraine and Russia, this whole nine. It's, damn, I can't even imagine. Now that you really say it, though, how much peace would have America have prospered if Kennedy really was? I mean, if Oswald did not take that shot,
yeah,
or would there be? And then it makes you think though, because what? And because going back to his speech, I wonder if he realized he was losing grip of somewhat power as a president, to realize I can't stop it, so I'm gonna let it at least the people know of this war machine that's going on internally. Am I making sense? I don't know if I'm making
no, I think you are. Every first-term president has a little bit of, I have to be reelected, so I have to be a little bit careful, which is what he was going through. But he was very adamant about the participation of the United States in Vietnam. Behind the scenes, there have been many, many, many authoritative people who really knew what they were talking about and were involved in his administration who said he was against the war in Vietnam. In fact, as a junior senator, he took a trip to Vietnam and reported back to Congress and said, it was reported on the French occupation of Vietnam. I said, this is an unwinnable war. There's no way that anyone, any foreign power could influence the outcome of this civil war that was going on.
Yeah.
And of course, he walked into it.
Yeah.
It was already in place when he got there. And there's a certain amount of coming out of the Cold War, the anti-communism thing that was going on at the time. He couldn't appear to be, in my opinion, he couldn't appear to be soft on communism, which he certainly proved with the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
I mean, not the Bay of Pigs, but the Russian missiles in Cuba.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But my book, Why, draws a line of events, single events that happen here, and here. And then I put all those pieces together to come to a conclusion that's vastly different than what other people have come to. And when I gave this book to Michael, I said, this is something that isn't a popular opinion.
Yeah.
And he said, well, let me read it. So he did. And at the end, he said, yeah, this could happen.
And for him, and especially like you said, for his experience that he's actually been in the administration, all this stuff. It's all right,
it's a very. I've given this book to people who were around at the time, people who knew something about it, some people who have a cursory knowledge of it.
Yeah.
But all of them had said, I never knew this. There are people in this. That I portray in the book, real people. Josepha Johnson's Lyndon's sister.
Yeah.
No one knows about her, but yet her life is storied, and she plays an integral part in how the end of this book comes out.
Yeah.
Mac Wallace was his assassin, Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm accusing Lyndon Johnson of participating, at least aware that this was going on.
Yeah.
And then participated in what was the cover-up. Think about the aftermath of the assassination.
Yep.
The theories are the mob, Russia,
CIA, all this stuff.
If it was Russia, it would have come out by now.
Yeah, 100%.
If it was the mob, they'd have come out right away. But it wasn't. It didn't. And it's been masked with the magician trick. Oh, look over here, watch over here while this is going on over here. And that's what's, the magic book.
That's a political game. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
That's how we got into Vietnam. What was it? What was it? The false flag where the boat was.
Gulf of Tonkin.
The Gulf of Tonkin. Yeah. See, I need to do my history. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Didn't happen. So.
But yeah, go ahead.
All
Sorry.
of those things would have come out. The one thing that hasn't come out is that it was our own government. And it wasn't our own government. No one sat in a room and said, we're going to kill somebody. But there was elements within the government that let it happen. There were people who were either involved, who were high up, who just saw it coming, but didn't really give it a shot.
Yeah, because no, exactly. Because in some way, shape, or form, they're in the network and like, all right, I'm benefiting from this somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And even just like you said, the actions after he got assassinated. What, mid-flight, Lyndon B. Johnson got sworn into presidency without not even an hour after. It just obviously we have to make sure we have to have a leader, all this stuff like that. But it just seems like just all the actions that happened after. It's like it just seems so planned out, so.
Technically,
convenient.
The moment that a president dies, the vice president is
sworn
president. There's no need to swear anybody out.
Yeah.
But the thing about Johnson, for example, before Kennedy was in the ground, there was a memo that Kennedy had drafted. I think it's like 238 or something like that, which was a memorandum of directive of what was going to happen, and part of it was to start to withdraw troops from Vietnam. The day after he was assassinated, Johnson calls together the Joint Chiefs and changes that memo. And from that memo, he was allowed to then put into place more soldiers in Vietnam that day. Wow. Why was it necessary to do it 2 days after the president was assassinated?
Yeah.
It wasn't, but he had to show that that's where he was going.
Wow.
One of the big mysteries of that time was when Johnson came on the air and said, I will not seek nor will I accept the nomination of my president. So no one could really understand why this power-hungry man whose life dream was to be president of the United States, who occupied the office, would suddenly, without telling his family, without telling his staff, that he wasn't going to run. Why would he do that? My theory is, and I put it in the book, is that the people who put him into place, the guys with the real money, and remember, this is a guy who started his career as a part-time teacher for a community college and left the presidency with no real job ever in his entire life except politics as one of the richest presidents to ever leave office.
The richest ever.
One of the richest ever. Think about that.
Yeah.
And that's Lady Bird? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
damn, that's so crazy.
Not a chance. So my theory is that at some point, the people who put him into power said to him, listen, you're not running for president. And he's like, why? And he says, because your health. And if you watch his State of the Union address right before the last year of his presidency, he was taking nitroglycerin tablets during the State of the Union speech.
Really?
That's how bad his heart was. And he had already had 2 major heart attacks. And they said, you're never going to make it through the 4 terms, for the 4 years.
Yeah.
And if you die, it's Hubert.
And they didn't want...
And Hubert's against the war.
Yeah.
Right. They wanted Nixon. So they said, you're not running. They supported Nixon. Nixon won, and the war lasted until 1975.
Wow, and I heard things about Nixon too, because when he got into his presidency, because he was a smart man, you can't deny he was a smart. Yeah, he I've heard things about him questioning the Kennedy assassination. He was shut up real quick about that. And,
real quick.
Yeah, because there's no way.
18 minutes missing in the tapes when they were talking about the assassination. It was missing, deleted.
Wait, what? Wait, okay. See, I didn't know about that. Wait, what? He had a conversation. What? Nixon had a conversation with.
Yeah, he was having a conversation with his staff, and it had just come up.
Or is this the Watergate? Not the Watergate, right? This is a whole separate. Oh, is it part of the Watergate? Oh, okay, got you. Okay, so I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, inform me.
18 minutes of tape that was missing.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of inferences earlier, but in that specific period of time, people have said that's when he was talking about that assassination.
Oh,
And
okay.
he knew about it.
And he's just like, there's no way whatever line was lining up that he was looking at. He's like, this is some
Yeah.
inside job.
Yeah. And it seems like a stretch for me to say that Lyndon Johnson was complicit in the assassination of the president. Read the book.
Yeah.
The characters that are involved in this book, and everything that I've written in the book is true. I mean, these are all things you can Google and see, oh, yeah, that really did happen. And all Paul did was to take that event and this event and this event and that event and drew a line between them all to come up with this conclusion. And the conclusion is perfectly logical.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to think that that was a reasonable conclusion.
Yeah. It's so crazy because it's just like, I know we talked about this last episode, but it's just like the majority of people you talk to about this, like we all agree that something was fishy about that. But yet, why? But again, this government hold up the full information. They're trying to protect themselves, but it's just like, why don't we hold the people accountable? Obviously most of them are dead or something, but it's just like at least like there has to be some justice.
Just do it now. They say they're going to release all these documents, and how come 2,500 documents are still sequestered? Mm-hmm. They said they were going to release them all. They haven't yet.
Yeah. Well, even now, why I think it's really good now is more of a light on the 9/11. Terror attacks. You look deeper and deeper how how certain people invested in in the building certain things. You dig deeper into a lot of stuff, man. You're like, like how you, and especially even your Department of Defense, like in all of our industries, all of these, we're supposed to protect our country, but yet you all had this information, yet you let somehow slip by this greatest attack on our nation, and you just
let it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, one of the really remarkable speeches that I've seen in Congress was a gentleman who was in charge at that time, and I've forgotten his name, and I really should have remembered his name. But he came before Congress and said that he had to apologize. He said, it's his fault. He said, and this was a guy who's a career politician. He said, we dropped the ball. We didn't see it coming, and we should have.
Wow.
And
wow.
I was like, everybody went, what? It was a remarkable speech, and it was a real American who did that.
Ron Paul? No, I wasn't Ron Paul. No,
It was somebody from the defense industry, and I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I'll look it up then. But and for any governmental official to actually go up and take
responsibility. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, so I can imagine, and then like you said, all the other people, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to get us in trouble?
Well, look what's going on today. I mean, it's an attack on a boat, and everybody's pointing a finger at somebody else.
Yeah. Wait, what boat? Are you talking about the cruise?
Yeah, well, the missile that sank the alleged drug boat.
Oh, okay, with the whole with the Venezuela conflict and stuff like that. Okay, yep.
So this guy says, it's this guy, and it's oh no, it's not me, it's somebody else. I wasn't in the room.
Pointing the fingers everywhere, right?
Yeah. The Bay of the Bay of Pigs happened. Kennedy was sort of involved because he allowed it to happen. Dulles came to him and said, Allen Dulles, who was a chief of CIA, he comes to him right after the election and said, this is a plan that's been in the works for a long time. As soon as we go in, as soon as these troops, because these troops have been training in Florida for a long time, as soon as we go in, the people in Cuba are going to join us, and they'll come out in droves to support us. And, once that happens, Castro will be overthrown. And Kennedy goes, well, okay, and he signs on. And, of course, it turns into a disaster.
Yeah.
He winds up firing Dulles, which was a big problem, and that resulted in a lot of bad villains in the CIA. And but Kennedy, unlike what's going on today, he stood in front of a press conference and says, the buck stops here. He said, I'm responsible. I'm the senior person in the administration, and I signed off. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Okay, that ended the discussion.
Yeah.
I'm the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, what else can you do at that point? You just gotta, you take your mistake and then do better next time. Yeah.
But that's what happened. Anyway.
No, I love the historical tangents though. I love history, so that's why I love talking to you too.
The history of that is something that even today there's still movies that are coming out. One just came out on ABC, which was just ridiculous.
Oh, really? Why? Just let's belligerent and just. No,
it was a rehashing of nonsense that really didn't have a point.
Oh, okay.
There was no conclusion. It was just a rendition of things that everybody already knew.
Yeah.
There was no new thing, and no one was bold enough to stand up and say, well, if this happened and this happened and this happened, then that must have happened.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like after all this time, man. It's like, can we just like, it's like it's the elephant in the room. Can we just like agree? Like, can we just lay it out in the public now? It's in the public, but not in the public. You know what I'm saying?
1975, the House formed a assassination committee about Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy, and they said it was a conspiracy. There was more than one, and no one's done anything about it since 1975. No one investigated it.
Yeah.
We're investigating, somebody's mortgage fraud in Atlanta. I mean, what the hell is going on?
The thing that matters.
The President of the United States was assassinated. Nobody's doing a thing about it, and this woman maybe have exaggerated her mortgage in Atlanta 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? You're going to spend a couple $1 million to track down Letitia James? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think people are waking up to it. People are waking up to the fraud, the corruption, and I just hope that there's good people that go into politics that, they actually do their due diligence to represent the people. But I don't know. I try to stay positive. I know there's a lot of things there's a lot of things going on, but I think there's a lot of great people that are building communities, at least changing what's around them, and then hopefully, their cities, their towns, and then states. And
it starts at this level. It starts person to person.
Yeah.
It starts, and one of the stories in the book.
Oh, the shorts, or
in shorts, sort of relates to that very subject. See how I brought this back?
Yeah, I love it.
I love
it. Yeah, perfect. You're a professional at this. You should be doing podcasts.
I'm not. But I saw a little transition opportunity. So I did. One of the things that I wrote about in the book was an experience I had when I was in Florida. I was living next door to a man who is dramatically different, he died. He was dramatically different than my political views. He was staunchly conservative. He was a Trump supporter at the time, not so much of the character, but the politics. He was a Boston Catholic who hated the Kennedys. There's a conundrum right there, right? So we were living right next door, and he's an older gentleman, and his wife had died, I'd heard. And in Florida, mold grows on everything. So I'd gotten a power washer, and I was out power washing and stuff, and I came around the side of the house, and I saw the side of his house was kind of messed up, so I did his as well, as neighbors do.
Yeah.
So a couple days later, I'm standing outside, and here he comes trudging down the driveway with this little Tupperware thing, and he walks over to me and he goes, "Here." He says, "Thanks for doing the thing." I said, "Okay." He says, "Irish soda bread. It's good."
Soda bread?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay." So I took it inside, and I sampled it. It was fabulous. It was really good, right? So I ate the whole thing, and then a couple of days later, I saw him out in the street. And we had garages, front entrance garages, and I took the Tupperware thing and ran over. And I was walking up the driveway, and he's walking into his house with his back to me, carrying a couple bags. And I yelled out, "Mahoney!" And without turning around, he yells out, "Get off my property!" And I knew we could be friends there on the spot. He goes in, and I go in, and we start talking, and that's when I discover how conservative he was.
Yeah.
But the point of the story is that he was a remarkably intelligent man. He spent 6 months studying the Peloponnesian Wars. It took me 6 months to learn how to say Peloponnesian. Yeah. But he was a very intelligent man. We had great discussions.
Do you ever talk about why that specific
No, I hadn't written it then.
Oh, okay.
But at one point, at some point during these conversations, one of us would say, "I didn't know that." Mm-hmm. And to me, that was the most important part of our conversation, more important than what we were actually discussing. Yeah. The fact that this staunchly conservative guy and me, I'm left of middle of the road, but I'm not like left.
Yeah.
Could come to the point where one of us would say, "I didn't know that." Mm-hmm. And when that occurred, I knew that democracy can work. Yeah. Because compromise is a result of that statement. Mm-hmm. And once that happens, then we can become pragmatic about an issue and say, "Well, you didn't know that, and I didn't know that, so let's try this and see if it works. And if it doesn't, we'll come back, revisit it, and change it. Yeah. We'll make it work. Obamacare doesn't work. Public health care doesn't work. bridge and infrastructure doesn't work. Okay, so let's come up with a plan and come back and fix it if it doesn't work. What is the problem?
Yep.
I don't understand.
But help me figure it out.
Look, we have different views. All right, let's come to a compromise. We'll figure something out. We'll try it. If it doesn't work, we'll fix it.
Yep.
That's what we're supposed to do. But we're not.
Yeah. Well, it's just sad because it's just, we're just so blind, especially now with, again, the technology and, just we're just in our own echo chambers, and they make us hate each other just because you have a different idea, And I remember talking about this with you, and just in general, I feel like the majority of people you talk to, they have the same idea. Like, hey, I don't. You mean, like I always learn something from you. It doesn't matter if you have a different idea. Like,
exactly.
It's just why do we? I think it's just the media that's amplifying this problem to make it look bigger than it is. But again, if we sat across the table like you are now, you've literally explained it. You've had you a whole different political ideology than you, and you guys were still able to have a great conversation, a good connection, and a relationship. Because sadly, there's people who even I know who just cut off ties just because of an idea. It's like, really, like we've gone through thick and thin. It doesn't even matter political ideology. I've helped you when you were down. You helped me when I was down. Yeah. Well, you're going to stop that now just because of a thought? You know what I mean? And you mean not saying like I'm not wrong, not saying I'm not perfect or anything, but it's like I can learn. I'm open to understanding. Yeah. And I think everyone's on that same boat. They're sick and tired of the separation. Yeah. And is that one of the story? Like, is that when it comes to shorts too? Like, is there certain topics you wanted to show to the audience, like learning experiences or lessons, or was it kind of just whatever came to mind for each author?
Well, we sort of divided it up into a number of different categories. Okay. There's a couple of stories about pets. There's pondering. There are stories about people that we've known in our lives. Four different people coming as subject from different perspectives. Yeah. And we just entered those into a category and let people run with it. Some of them are funny. Yeah. Some of them are heartfelt. Okay, so let me ask. So, for example, like your topic, like you talk about now, like how compromise and how to how's it work with different. Like, is that so? You guys picked that same topic, and then each of y'all made a story with that same topic, or it was like, hey, I'm going to focus on this category here. You focus on. No. Okay. What happened was. We all had stories that we'd written, little things here and there. Just over time. Okay. And so, for example, that story. Yeah. Was more or less politics. I got you. So I said, I have another one about politics that I could put in there. Oh, okay, gotcha. And then Michael said, I have one about politics. And then Diane didn't have one for politics, but she had like 3 for pets. Yeah. No, I got one for pets that's really good. And then, I hadn't finished this one, but I can finish it for the book. Okay. So we did this all along the way. Mm-hmm. And each of us, Carrie Murgittroyd did a very funny story about her name. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, because Murgittroyd. Heavens to Murgittroyd. Yeah. That's actually the title of her piece, Heavens to. Really? Yeah. Okay. About what an unusual name that is and how people often thought that she was joking when she said her last name because Murgittroyd was kind of a... Yeah, what is that from? Like, what's the origin? Like, what's it... You know what? I never asked that question. Yeah, let me know. That's interesting. Like, what? That sounds like a robotic name almost. Yeah. Like, but that's interesting. Like, but it's good that she has the humor to, like, make fun. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, let's have fun out of it. Might as well. Yeah, it's there are a lot of different types of people represented in the book. Yeah. Both from the authors and the people we write about. Mm-hmm. What have y'all learned about each other, like in the process of making this book? Because how long has it taken you to actually like structure and get everything together, sit down with each other, like, all right, this is what we're going to do for this chapter, like the critics. I know you guys say you critique each other's work, so how was that process too? Like, was it a learning experience for all of y'all when it came to work as a team, as authors? Because I don't know if you worked with other authors to collaborate on one book. I'm kind of throwing a bunch of questions at you. I got it. When we work on our own books, and I submit a chapter and they edit and come back to me, they give me their feeling, but I still have the luxury of choosing to use or not use their suggestion. Gotcha. So it's still my own, process. They may not
Gotcha.
understand a specific where I'm going. So I'm going to get to that later. But with a collaboration like this, it's different, and it was a little bit more tedious, especially the publishing part of it was difficult.
Why is that? Yeah.
Well, they because Michael died, we were very sensitive towards how his widow and daughter would. We didn't want to do anything that would make them have second thoughts.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we would. It's from us or from them, to misrepresent what he wrote, or to have something in the book that might not be something he would be associated with.
Yep.
Because he is a very dedicated political person.
Yeah.
Who had very specific views about life, and we just didn't want to tread on it.
Yeah.
So we were careful about doing that, and it was all good.
Yeah.
And the publishing end of it became, well, technically it became difficult because I was the publisher, and I had taken their stories in their form of Word, whichever document they were in, Word 10, 12, 16, whatever, and brought them into one master document, which created all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
And trying to get that formatted correctly to publish.
Okay.
It was a nightmare.
Changing everyone's format to be the same. And all.
It was a nightmare.
ChatGPT didn't help in that one, huh?
Oh, my God. And the other point of it was that because Michael was a reporter,
Yeah.
the way he wrote was way different than the way books are written. So we had to sort of reformat some of his things.
Yeah.
Which was also a little bit difficult, but it all worked out.
Yeah, see, that sounds, because like you said, you're trying to reformat it, but also not lose his image and not disrespect his living relatives as well. So I get it. But how much did that, wait, when did he pass away? Just
Recently, like a few months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, before it was published.
Yeah. So was there already works that he was going to put into the book that you had to finish up, or you just leave it outside the book? You don't even
I would never
just leave it.
stuff.
Okay, got you.
No,
I don't know if that was something y'all talked to the family about, where you're like, all right, do you want?
No, word for word.
Respect.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Word for word. He's a good author. He being the transition between journalism for a newspaper and journalism in a book is difficult.
Yeah.
But he was very good as a journalist, so it transitioned very well into a storyline.
What was just like the way it was structured? The
way it was structured.
Yeah.
He was a reporter is extremely accurate in the way he drafts.
Gotcha.
And authors will just let the reader infer. And so his tend to be a lot longer.
Okay, so like more analytical, just super fine. Like the grain of this table is as fine as the sand grains of the beach. Like super detailed, more detailed than that. I don't want to disrespect, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
His descriptions were fact based and backed up, and the conclusions that he drew from in writing those things were all based on those facts.
Yeah.
We're writing fiction.
Yeah.
So while fiction is something that comes from real life, so you can, use what's going on around you, but it doesn't necessarily all have to happen in that order.
Gotcha.
I've written a couple things in there that are like that. But it's a very good book. I wrote a story in there about the Indians, which you talked about briefly before, which is fact-based and different. It's more of a reporter. I was actually inspired by him to write this thing. And it talks about the Supreme Court and their decisions and how it actually allowed the United States, it gave the United States permission and the citizens permission to commit genocide on the American Indians. And the fact is, we still just don't recognize the fact that happened. The genocide all around the world, a lot of different cultures, and we sort of give a passing oh yeah, that happened, but it's not really us because that happened such a long time ago. Well, same is true in Germany and
No, exactly.
Italy and China and Russia, all of the countries.
Armenia, everything.
Armenia, in Africa right now, in Somalia. So at some point you got to pass because it's okay. Your generation didn't do it. I got it. We think better, but you have to recognize that it happened.
Yeah.
You can't just whitewash it and say it never happened. It happened. There were, in some estimates, 100 million Indians in the United States at the time the Europeans landed, and now there's 8. What happened?
Million. Wow, damn! Now you really say the number like that? Because I don't even think we talked numbers last time. I think we were just we talked about the whole because wow.
Yeah, and how did that happen? Well, there's some Supreme Court decisions that allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
And then the pulpit allowed it to happen. And very simply, the Supreme Court did a couple of things in early decisions, which it was called the Marshall Trilogy. Chief Justice Marshall was the longest-serving Supreme Court justice of our country. And one of the first ones that they put out there was kind of a weird one. They said that the United States had the ability to take Indian land because the Indians were a conquered nation, not by us, by Britain, Great Britain, England. Yeah. England had conquered the United States, and therefore they owned everything about the United States, including the conquered people, right? Which was British maritime law. They made up their own law.
Wow.
So we said, because the English owned them and we conquered England, then we now owned what they owned.
They're trying to justify.
They justified it. Wow. Without dealing with the fact that it was going on. We just said, well, they're just not part of us. We own that. So we have the legal right to take their land.
Wow. It's just crazy because it's just like, especially with the country that tries to flee from persecution and all this other stuff. And then, you think it would be a great, I can't even, another thing about history, imagine if we actually had a synonymous, growing population with, the Native, with the, sorry, I was going to say Native Americans, but it's just I don't want to disrespect, but how much society would have changed, how much plentiful, bountiful, I don't know, it's just a lot of things. It just gets you questioning what the possibilities of American history could have been.
Yeah. The reason why it happened was certainly legal, but it was also the moral thing.
Yeah.
And that was made possible by the pulpit. The pulpit called Indians less than. They were pagans. They didn't believe in our God, our white God.
Yeah.
And when you look at the duplicity of what the same people who were abolitionists, who also didn't have a problem with killing every Indian they saw.
Yeah, because they just thought it was their manifest destiny.
Yeah, manifest destiny.
Yeah.
Which was something we learned in high school.
That's the thing that popped in my head.
Oh yeah, manifest destiny was a good thing. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a good thing. God gave us the right to take somebody else's crown.
Yeah.
That was our destiny to own. No, it's not our destiny. What kind of obnoxious butthead do you have to be to think that you have been gifted by God to own somebody else's crown?
And to kill something just because kill a human being just because it's a lot, just because it's living, It reminds me of that quote. It's like, if I die for a living, let death be sweeter than life, or something like that. It's like, wow,
I want what you have, and I'm going to make up reasons why I'm justified.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just humans. That's just humans. When we have power, it corrupts us, and we just think, oh, I got this power. Of course I can do. Why wouldn't I be able to do this? And then, karma's a bitch, so it comes back around, in my opinion. But like you said, now it's like, I want to go back, but now it's like, how do we bring back the Native American community to be plentiful, to be bountiful? It's just too far. Yeah.
It's a fourth world nation. The third world nation, some small little country in Africa, which might be described as a third world nation, at some point there's some glimmer of hope. Somehow freedom will be granted to those people to have their own country again, to have democracy in their lives. The Republic, the Indians, no, not going to happen.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why is because they never had a real recognized voice. They didn't have a Martin Luther King. They didn't have a Rosa Parks. They did have very powerful speakers, but they never got the audience. They didn't have the same kind of communication that exists today. Red Cloud it was brilliant. There was just so many different leaders that arose during that time, but never had the voice.
Because they didn't want. Because you could look. It's like purposefully. They're like, hey, we're not going to give them the voice, so we can easily. You know what I mean? Because it's just that's how it is. Sadly,
That's right.
It's like, oh, we ain't going to give them a voice. They're going to stop what we're trying to do is take over everything. You know what I'm saying? Why they're going to give sympathy and maybe just look like even just talk about the history of Israel. You know what I mean? They pushed away the Palestinians, and now they made their own land. It's just like, oh, it's ours. Well, it wasn't yours. It wasn't yours. You know what I mean? And it's the same with us with Native America. It's just like, and now, like you said, now it's like, now you have me reflect. That's why I thought when you were talking about, it's like, well, they have no, because we are on their land, we are on their territory. So how can they regain back their original, standing? Yeah.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do now is somehow figure out a way to bend the law to give gambling a root in some places. By calling it Native American soil, and they have the right to gamble. And that's a whole other story. But the gambling aspect of Indian life is kind of a joke. But that's a whole other story. I did a lot of work with the Indians back in the day. And some of the things I saw, you can't believe. It just
honestly, if you I know we talked about it before, but if there's a way I can I would to actually sit down with in their just to interview and hear their story. If there's anyone that I'll travel to. It would
you have to go to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, okay.
Yeah, Oklahoma. There are people in Oklahoma that would love to sit and talk.
Is there any a specific tribe or anything or
there are. It's more not so much the tribe, it's the individual.
Okay. Gotcha.
You need to speak to. I'll give you some names.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because I would love to. I'm ignorant of it in a sense. I've never really, because again, I grew up you hear the basic history class. Oh, Native Americans and the colonists, group, they helped each other out and all this other stuff, all the basic grain of surface level stuff, and then you dig deeper. You're like, this was not what they say in Thanksgiving. It was not as thankful as Thanksgiving was supposed to be.
If you knew the real story of Thanksgiving, it would be horrifying. The people who showed up didn't know how to farm because they were thrown out of every good country in the world. They were not farmers. They didn't know how to farm here. They didn't know how to survive. Once they shot up land and didn't conserve what was going on, they didn't have enough food to make it to the winter. Some of the settlers defected and went to the Indian tribes to live with them and managed to do okay. But the others that stayed in the villages were starving to death. So they raided the Indian camps, killed everybody, and stored their food. After they went to them and said, we need food, can you give us some? And they said, well, I'm sorry, you can't, because this is what we need to get through the winter. You're on your own. And they just killed everybody and took it. So you want to call that Thanksgiving. All right. But that happened. Now, did it happen all over the United States? No. Did it happen specifically in one location? Yeah. But to paint the picture that Indians were coming out of the woods with baskets of corn and turkeys and all, it just didn't happen.
Exactly. But it's just history, man. It's always so. People think it's this one thing. It's like, no, it's not painted in this one brush stroke. There's many fine paintbrushes under that one giant paintbrush. You know what I'm saying?
Great description.
It really? Okay.
Great description.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly right. There are so many strokes to the masterpiece. You can look at just the focal point and get an idea, but it's the masterpiece that you need to look at.
And then it's like, how do we grow if we don't look at the full picture? You know what I mean?
That's the question.
Yes, and like you said, it's the question that we just keep pushing away until then it festers and boils and then erupts into no other issue. And
Why are we doing something that doesn't have a profit for me? That's the first thing. If there's no profit in it, if it's a history lesson, then just woke it out. Just get rid of it. It doesn't exist. Erase it from. Nobody needs to know about this. Just that's not true. We need to know our history. We need to know how to go. How did the United States actually show up?
Yeah, exactly.
What was you talk about decisive times right now. The time of Abraham Lincoln was equally as decisive.
Wow, it's so crazy you say that because I literally just remembered a random thought in my head from that time because I didn't know, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Russians actually helped during the Civil War with the Northerners for the Navy. They sent out some Navy ships to help the Northern Union, if I'm correct. I'll double check later on.
Actually, the French was the ones that really...
Oh, it's the French. Okay, got you.
But because the French and England have been battling forever, and it ran all the way through into the Civil War.
Got you.
But it's really kind of hard to sum it up in a real short period of time. But the masterpiece of where we are is from the diversity that we bring to the table. You have to remember that at the time of the American Revolution, democracy didn't exist anywhere in the world. Every other country was ruled by a monarch or an emperor or a dictator. Every single country in the world. Democracy was the first time in the United States, the first time, and no one ever thought it would last. And that's one of the reasons why England gave up. They were fighting a war in England, they were in France, they were fighting in India, they were fighting in the Caribbean. They just didn't have the heart to continue to fight in America. And because they were losing.
Yeah.
But they just said, enough. And you know what? It's a democracy. They're going to fall apart. We'll just come back and take over anyway.
Wow.
It's really what happened. They were wrong. They misread that. But still, that's history. The time of Lincoln was elected and South Carolina seceded from the Union. How much more decisive could he be?
Yeah.
We elected a president of the United States, and half the country said, yeah, I'm not following him around. Just because he was elected. He didn't actually do anything yet.
Yeah.
He didn't go to Congress and said, we're going to abolish slavery. He didn't go anywhere. He didn't get a vote. There was no action taken. He was just elected. And they seceded from the Union. That's decisive. That's divisive, rather.
It's... I can't even fathom that image now. I hear some people not as big as it used to be during the election before Trump got elected, but civil wars, and I'm like, yo, I do not want a fucking civil war. I'm sorry, no one wants. No. I don't want to see shots getting fired. Well, that's a whole other story. We already got our own gun issues.
Got guns
But when it comes to a full-fledged war, no, I'm not trying to fight against my neighbor or my fucking whatever other state, because you're still my American brother, sister. What the I can't even fathom that. What was it? I think it was during the Civil War too, the first battle, where you had the wives and kids come and watch because they didn't think anything was going to happen.
Yeah.
And we had a whole war. You know what I mean? I hope it never does.
Talking about Manassas, the first battle of Manassas.
What it was. Okay.
Yeah, they came out from Washington. They were sitting out there thinking the Union was going to kick their butts, and they were wrong. They were like, "Oh my God! Yeah. Oh my God, we're losing.
This is real."
Yeah, it's a real thing. People were dying.
And that's I just hope we can get things together and that we don't go toward that way. But you know what I mean? To like you said, these are decisive moves that fingers crossed, exactly. But I was gonna say, besides that, let me get some positive news about the shorts.
Yes.
What about so is the shorts? I know you were talking about earlier because you were talking about a pair of shorts that kind of inspired you on this journey. Is that the actual pair of shorts that inspired you to
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if you've seen those pair out there. You're like that's definitely the one.
I there was a different pair of shorts, but and
actually, you want to show the people your book too?
Sure.
Cover? Yeah. So, boom.
That's the cover.
Yeah. I'll zoom in it and stuff.
There you go. And that was the pair of shorts that inspired, or not this way, but a pair of shorts like this inspired it. And it just occurred to me that that would be a good name for a book.
Yeah.
And then I posed it to my fellow authors, and they all said, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea." And then we just sort of ran it out. So some of them are really funny.
Okay, I was gonna say when it came to a limit, how short are these stories? Are they just 1 page long? Or they is it certain or kind of freedom to whoever? Okay.
It was very freedom. Michael's stories are long. Some of them are pretty long.
Yeah. They even got photos in there too, guys.
The Picture Taker is a very long essay about people who helped to structure American thought with the photographs that they took, and how those photographs impacted life. And it's a very good story.
Oh, that's a good. Actually, honestly, the first photo I think about is like when all the build, like the infrastructure, when they're building like structures with like the men just on the beams high up.
Oh, that's a very famous photographer took that picture.
Yeah. I'm just but like you said, this is like how impactful photos can be, though, to change generations and societal norms, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, that's a great. That's actually really. Damn, you got me excited. I wanted to read that actually. It's what else, like when it came, like, are you planning to? Because I have a couple of friends that do poetry and stuff. So is that something in the future you want?
There's a couple poems.
Oh, okay.
I actually wrote one.
Oh, really?
I'm not really a poet, but I wrote one.
Yeah. Well, was that something you wanted to like just switch it up for yourself with this as well? You're like, hey, let me do a couple of different things that I'm not used to, or.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I was a little hesitant to put it in because I wasn't sure that it was any good.
Okay.
But after reading it to these folks, they said it was. It's a short poem.
Oh, let's go. He's got the glasses out.
It goes to what we're talking about. Oh, really? The birds sing after the storm. It's been a long time, and it's too dark to see. But I've heard them back then. There was trouble before. Seemed big, a downfall. But it seems small now. The birds sang after the storm. They came with the sun in the morning that bloomed. I shaded my eyes, not my ears. Will it end? Not by me. I can't help. Only fate can see. I hope they sing. Not for me. For the little eyes I used to be and might be again if the birds sing after the storm.
Damn, that's a good. So what I'm getting from it is just kind of keeping your hopes up and your focus, and you can get through any peril.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully for the little guys, the kids.
Yeah.
That's who I fear for the most. I mean.
Yeah.
In from the time that I was 10 to the time that I was 20, in those 10 years, that decade, Malcolm X was killed, Medgar Evers was killed, John F. Kennedy was killed, Robert Kennedy was killed, Martin Luther King was killed, Malcolm X was killed. All great leaders of that time, all murdered, all assassinated in 10 years. That was my childhood. That was how I was, and Vietnam, and Nixon, and Johnson. That's how I was raised in those 10 years. Now, we have a difficult time right now. It's difficult beyond measure. And the divisiveness is really beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
The hate, to call somebody trash, little kids, come on, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
But from all that, there was some hope, And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to be so old and snarky that I'm sitting around at a Thanksgiving going, it's the end of time. You got little kids that are growing up in this madness, and where are they going to be? When I was growing up, there were 3 channels on a TV set. Now there's thousands on a TV set, I had to get up to turn the channel, and somebody had to stand there with the aluminum foil on an antenna and hold it so the signal wouldn't go, so you could watch the ball game. No, that's not. Now you just see a circle that turns around.
Yeah. No, and then it's definitely we're in an experiment now. Well, we've always been an experiment, but I think when it comes to technology and how it's affecting our the youth, because I grew up, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 14, so luckily I was blessed to have like an upbringing where it's like I got to go out and interact with people, because everything's social now. You have kids that are just on the iPad. School, we had 3 years of people just going to school online. Like how much disconnect does that cause? How much social impact and just depression, anxiety, self-worth. If you're with your own mind, we're our own worst enemies.
In many cases,
yeah. But I through all the chaos, I think there's always like you said, there's always a hope in there. Right. But I know it's hard. Sometimes it may be harder to see, but I think there's people like yourself that are creating works of art, working with other collaborators, other artists and authors that are going to at least lighten the burden of the impact we're all taking.
It's not AI.
Yeah, it's not
That's
AI.
A fact.
That's a fact.
It's not AI.
Yeah. Oh, that's scary too, right? It makes you
Yeah.
question everything nowadays. AI. What's authentic anymore?
Yeah. I have hope.
Yeah.
I do. And I think what we have to realize, as we said, go back in the day, and I mentioned it before, that when the American Revolution happened, democracy was brand new, and we're only a couple hundred years old.
Yeah.
But people around the world, people who have had their governments in place for thousands of years, are looking at us going, I hope you guys pull this off. I really hope you pull it off, because I mean, it's so important that democracy works, because as we can see, fascism does not. It may work for a few, but only for a short period of time.
No, damn. Yeah.
We have to have democracy. It's the worst form of government, but it's the best there is.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point. It's like nothing's perfect. Everyone's just expecting these perfect systems. It's like, no, it's, there's going to be, downfalls. There's going to be tinks and twinks. But like you were saying earlier, like at least with democracy, we're able to sit down across and figure out what, all right, this didn't work. All right, what else can we figure out to work?
Be pragmatic.
Yeah.
We'll come to a solution. You don't agree with me 100%. I don't agree with you 100%. But somewhere in the middle, there's some way we can figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
How can we go next?
And it's because of that very thought, that very action, like, I wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for this country. Literally, like my grandfather saw this country on my mom's side, and my grandmother on my dad's side looked at this country. They said, there's more. There's more than just what I'm doing right now. And they were living comfortably. Like, they were literally living a good life. They own businesses and stuff. And they're like, no, I want more not just for myself, but for generations. I wouldn't even be here sitting with you if it wasn't for this country and what it offered. Jackie, this, LaBroche, having this business that we're sitting in right now, the fresh baked goods. And how many other dreams and ambitions wouldn't have come to fruition? Even like, think of it, even Elon Musk, like if we want to go like bigger kind of scale, like, it's like, how many opportunities would have not, Nikola Tesla, it's so many opportunities that would have not shown if fascism and if America did not sprout to be.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted for sure.
If Albert Einstein had stayed in Austria 4 more years.
Damn.
Think about it.
Yeah. Time, man.
Yeah, man.
Time. Dude, I love it. No, anything else? Paul, yeah, is there anything else, Paul? You work on anything else right now when it comes to books?
Yeah, I'm doing another. I was torn between doing a second to Legacy. Or finishing Smoke. There was a trilogy, which is usually signaling the end, but there is one more chapter.
Yeah.
And I came up with this really good villain.
Ooh.
And I hadn't written a good villain in a while because I've been so, and I said, I know I got to do it. So I'm like chapter 7 now with a really good villain.
Yeah.
And I'm bound and determined to finish that series off. So that's next.
When any estimate or
spring, maybe
spring? Okay, you'll keep me posted. We'll get another episode going. You know what I mean? I love it. Right. Is there anything else you want the audience to know about this book? What they should learn from it?
It's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
I think that Carrie, Diane, Michael, and I have different perspectives of life. This book gives little peeks and little views of different stories which all reflect on these different lifestyles. So everyone can find something in here that they can relate to.
Awesome.
Some of it's informative, some of it's sad, some of it's pretty funny. I got a couple funny ones in there. And I think it's just really entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that you have to devote yourself to reading the entire book. Pick up, read a few stories, put it away, read a couple more stories later on. It's fun. It's a fun book to read.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do like that too, because a lot of people, that I talk to, they're like, oh, I need to read more. I'm like, I just get, even if it's just short stories like that, short, keeps you entertained too, because it's always something new every time.
And it's the kind of book that you can buy and you can say, well, I read a book.
Somebody, I've read 10 books
had to read the whole book.
I read 10 books today. What do you mean? Little 10 short stories.
Yeah.
No, I was actually a question I did want to bring back earlier. Because you're saying Michael, right?
Michael Ranville.
He's more nonfiction. So was it when it came to the book? Did you have it where it's like him? Then you try to time it. Like have it organized like in a certain way?
Organized by subject.
Okay, gotcha.
Michael was, I failed to mention this, and I think it's important to mention it. Michael wrote a book called Strike at the King. And what that was the inspiration for George Clooney's movie, Good Night, Good Luck. He knew George. He talked to George about it. George flew him to the premieres of the movie, all that kind of stuff. It's a book about the McCarthy era and how that came down. And one of the cases that brought it down was this Air Force captain who was blackballed out of the service because his father had received some questionable documents. Yeah. So they convicted him without a trial. No evidence. No, he didn't get a chance to present his case or anything. They just put some stuff in an envelope and they said, "You're out." And he said, "No, I'm not." And he sued and won and was reinstated into the service.
What's the movie called again?
Good Night, Good Luck. It's the story of Edward R. Murrow. If you don't know about Edward R. Murrow,
no, I'm not. No,
you need to know about.
All right, I'll watch it tonight. I'm gonna watch a good movie tonight. Boom.
Edward R. Murrow is probably one of the most important persons in news media at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Almost like Tucker Carlson, kind of like today. Or
not
like
even
name.
Close.
Okay. God damn that bit. Okay.
Not even close. Tucker Carlson was one side. I don't.
Oh, okay. So he's like more of open. Like he's all like sides. He keeps his mind
Walter
open.
Cronkite.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite. It was
okay.
Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite, Roger Mudd.
Got you. He's one of the legendaries.
Legendary. Yeah. He was a war reporter and. Watch him.
Yeah. I'll watch it. Yeah. I'll definitely give you feedback. I'll give you a text back when I watch it. Yeah, because I just love. I told you my dad and I was watching a lot of documentaries growing up and stuff like that. So it's just fascinating history, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I did get off tangent from the end. But how can people support you again, Paul? How can they get this book in their hands and give it a nice read?
Amazon. It's available on Amazon. Just look for shorts, my name, Paul Eberz, and you'll find the book, and along with the rest of my books. Yeah. And support a starving artist.
Yeah, get him a cup of coffee, all right?
Get me a cup of coffee.
Paul, as always, thank you, man. I love talking to you. Always a good conversation. Yes. And guys, thank you so much as always listening to the podcast. Do the best you can for yourself and the people around you because you deserve it. And take the time to stop at Brioche Bakery in Norfolk, Virginia with the freshest baked goods and desserts you've ever seen in the East Coast.
That's the best.
Yes.
It's the best.
All right. Have a great one, y'all, and talk to you soon.